Hi, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Conversations with Dr. April. Go ahead, and I want you to pause for a minute. Go ahead and like the video and subscribe to the channel. We are going to enlighten you with some really good information today that you're going to want to share with your friends. Today, we are going to talk about operating in your queendom. So, today I have with me Miss Keisha Thomas, licensed professional counselor, as well. Keisha, introduce yourself.
Hello. Keisha Thomas, professional counselor here in the state of Texas. Um, Having my private practice here. My population is adults and adolescents, conducting telemedicine, as well as capacity assessments for the state of Texas. So I am so glad to be here, and thank you, Dr. Gibbons, for having me.
Okay. All right, Keisha. So let's jump into it. So we're going to talk about operating in your queendom. So a lot of these topics that we have, we get them from our clients. So a lot of our clients that come to us, talk about a lot of different issues that they have been having with their boyfriends, their husbands, and all this type of stuff. So today we want to kind of give some tips and information on that.
Okay.
So, okay, so the first thing we're going to dive into is how a lot of women feel like men need to get their stuff together. Like a lot of these men are not communicating, they're not putting forth an effort in their relationship. A lot of them are ghosting, going days without texting or talking. Most of them are just texting and not wanting to pick up the telephone and have conversations via phone. So it's a lot of these things that a lot of women are complaining about, and some women are being the chasers because
Yeah.
these men are running. They're not, stepping up. So the woman feels like, well, if I don't take the initiative, he doesn't do anything. He forgot my birthday. He's not giving me, anything to show that he even cares. So let's talk about that. What do you think, Keisha? What's your take on these men now?
Well, I can say as far as men and women, we're more the emotional piece. Men are more physical. So that's one thing we have to look at, right? And I think that um, communication is something that we all have to, uh, should I say, work on, whether it's verbal or nonverbal, right? With
Mhm.
women, sometimes we have to watch our faces because we
Yeah.
can say one thing, but our face means another. And I think with men, I'm not gonna say all men, but some men out there have a problem with communicating. Um, I think you and I were talking about, I think women need to remember the two C's:
Yes.
consistency and communication. You don't have to chase anybody. If you're communicating, you should expect for that person to communicate back with you, not just through text message, but
Yeah.
hey, pick up the phone. You know, some people just don't like talking on the phone. Well, okay, well then we need to see each other face to face.
Exactly.
Okay, and we know COVID is here. You got the iPhones, the iPads, Google Meet, Hangout, WhatsApp app. You have
Right.
999 apps out here that you could see each other, as well as pick up the phone, go sit outside on the patio somewhere, sit on
Yeah.
your porch. I think we all need to make time. You make time for what you want.
Yeah.
That's that's
Absolutely.
that's how I look at it.
So, what do you tell these women who, because we've all been there, in our relationships to where we've been through some of the same thing that we see our clients. So that's how we're able to kind of tell them, okay, what they shouldn't do because, hey, we've been there, done that, wrote the book. So it's like, okay, what do we need? What are some tips that we need to tell these women on how women in general, how they need to operate in their queendom as
Oh,
far as not chasing a
mm-hmm.
man. And, sometimes women feel like, okay, if I do communicate with him and tell him how I feel, he's going to run off.
Mm-hmm.
And so, which a lot of times it happens, he shuts down because there's that pressure that he feels that she's putting on him to have these expectations, especially if he's not the type of man that can, at this point in time, live up to those expectations that she's asking him for. If she's asking him, hey, I need you to at least call me every day or send me a text. I need to at least see you, twice a week. And if he feels like, okay, I got a whole lot of other stuff going on, I'm not able to do that at this time, he needs to communicate that to her.
Yeah.
But she also needs to understand where he's coming from and step back and still do things in her life to better herself instead of waiting on him to figure it out.
Well, you hit the key word, expectation. I think that we need to have expectation in ourselves, not necessarily the man, in
Mm-hmm.
ourselves, right? That you should be able to say, well, my expectation for me is that I'm going to communicate exactly how I feel. My expectation is that I want to spend time. Think about what it is that you want to do. And if that man does not want to do the same things you want to do, now
Mm-hmm.
let's make sure that our expectations are attainable.
Yes.
And you're not, you know what I'm saying? You can't make that man spend time with you. You can't make that man call you. You can't make that man communicate the way you want him to.
Mm-hmm.
The deal is that you have to work on, how am I going to communicate? How am I going to show him that I'm interested in him? And then you need to ask yourself, okay, when he doesn't call you 2 times a week, what are you going to do? Because I'm a firm believer in, we make time for the things that we want to make time for.
Absolutely.
I mean, let's just put it out there. We make time. That's men and women. So if I'm not going to say that, we're busy women. We're
Mhm.
mothers. We're running private practices. We're doing all this, right? We're sitting on a panel here. Um, we're collaborating with other therapists and other professionals through the week. We have time. Our time is
Right.
important and not there all the time. It's taken up, right? But we make time for what we want to make time for. So yes, he may be working. Yes, he may have children that he needs to see. Yes, he may be involved in numerous organizations, church. But at the end of the day, if he wants to make time for you, he will. If he does not, now the expectation should be, if he doesn't, I have already decided this is how I'm going to exit, or this
Mm-hmm.
is how I'm going to handle it. And I think that's what we don't do. We're too busy trying to control the man so that
Mm-hmm.
he can, or change him. That's it. We're trying to change him. I want him to do this for me. So I'm just going to start calling him. How come he won't call me? How come he won't come see me? Then that's what the man called nagging.
Yeah. Right.
So I think these are things you need to set up front. Ask him, hey, when you're dating a woman, what is your expectation? What are his expectations? See if they line up with yours. If they don't, that may not be someone you need to date.
So what about the woman who says, well, I understand all this and he says all that, but, I just see his potential and what he can become. And I just really want him, to be with me because I see what he can become, even though he may have some stuff going on right now and he's not showing me, what I need right
Mhm.
now, but he is a good person. So
Okay.
what do you say to that person?
Okay. Then there's some red flags, and you're overlooking them. So basically you're jumping in a you're jumping in hot water. You're wanting to be damaged. You're wanting to be hurt. Because again, you can't make that man do anything that he doesn't want to do. You're not his mother. He's an adult.
Yeah.
And why are you taking on a parenting role, trying to make him do something to make him what you want him to be? He has to want to be that everything for you.
Well, what she's doing is talking herself out of her truth, out of the reality of what she see. And so many women do that. You
Mm,
know, Keisha, we're guilty. We didn't did that before. You know, now we've evolved. And so now we kind of see clearly with clear eyes kind of what things
mm,
are and can understand, the red flags when you see them. And, you can step back. You don't even have to tell grown people when you're stepping back. When something's not going the way that you feel like it should be going in your life, and you've already established this communication and you said the
mhm,
things that you feel like you need, and this other person is not willing or not showing actions. They can tell you all day that they're going to do this, but if they're not showing you, anything, you can exit, quietly exit. I'm a firm believer on not blocking people. Don't block, because you leave the doorway open for folks to come back and apologize to you. That's always good. That's healing for you and that other person.
mhm,
But politely move around and focus on you. Go within and find out, why are you feeling like you need whatever you're not getting from this person? And
mhm.
I
Well,
think that's the key.
I also, we as women don't take out this time to do a self check.
Hmm.
And what I mean is, line up all the guys that well, however many, or your serious relationships, the failed ones. You may find that each one of them are pretty much similar,
Hmm.
right?
Yep.
You line them up, okay, A, B, and C. What do A, B, and C have in common?
Hmm.
My A, B's, and C's were, they weren't available,
Yep.
whether it may be physically or emotionally. So you have to ask yourself, if you keep choosing the same type of man, you are going to have to work on yourself and change some things about you, your selection, your, when they're communicating something to you. Recognize those flags and get the water and put them out. If
Yeah.
you see them coming again, it's okay to say, you know what? I can't go through this again. Doesn't mean that you failed. And I think that's where we get it all twisted. Because if we're in a relationship with someone, or we've been dating someone and it doesn't work out, we feel like we failed.
Yeah.
And that's what I tell my clients. How do you feel? I ask them, what is failure to you? A lot of times doors close because
Mm.
another one needs to open.
Oh yeah. Blessings. Sometimes the doors
Yeah.
closing are a blessing.
Yeah.
It's
So because you
protection.
walked away and you identified something about this man, who's to say who's to say that, that was failure for you? That may have been it. You're the winner, because you have to identify what you can and cannot deal with. So
Yeah.
I guess I ask, we're in our queendom. How do we use it effectively? How do we go out here and date
Yeah.
responsibly, and and dating? You got to start dating first. Now, you and I were talking about this.
Hmm.
Some of us have the wrong perception and the wrong definition of dating. Dating is a process of elimination. So if you and a man get together and he says y'all are dating, you may want to clarify that. Oh, we're dating other people, or we're going to be exclusive. Those are
Yeah.
two different things. And I
Absolutely.
and can you deal with that? Why is we as women, it's okay for the man to date 5, 6 different women, but if I go on a date with 4 guys in 1 week, I'm frowned upon.
Yeah.
I wouldn't frown upon that, because dating a man doesn't necessarily mean you're having sexual relationships with him.
Right. I think women need to also understand that operating in your queendom and being a queen means that you are the prize. Not saying that you have to be full of yourself and you think all this or whatever. It's just that you have to come from a perspective of, I'm the prize, I'm the goddess. Let me operate in my goddess energy, my feminine energy. Let this man who are natural hunters and chasers, let me allow them to come to me. If he's not coming to me, newsflash, he's probably not ready. Either he's not ready mentally, emotionally, or financially.
Mm-hmm.
A man has to have all those three things together in order for them to want to commit in a relationship. Notice what I said, commit
Commit.
in a relationship. It's a big difference from dating and committing. So he
Yeah.
has to have all those three things together in order to commit in a relationship. And I caution women to listen to what the man says. And I also caution my male clients to truly line up with what they say, their actions. Because with women get confused. So if this man is coming over and he's spending time with you every day, and y'all going out to eat and all this stuff, but yet he tells you point blank clearly that, hey, I just got out of something, I'm not ready for no relationship, right now I don't want a relationship, I just enjoy your company, and that's kind of it, to the extent that what I want right now. So he's told you clearly that he's not ready for a relationship.
Okay.
So you have to make a decision right there. His actions is not lining up to what he's saying. He's still coming over every time you call. He'll spend the night if you let him, whatever it is, but he has told you clearly. So you thinking in the back of your head, well, I can change his mind. He just saying that, he's still coming, he's spending time. We doing everything a relationship is, but he said he don't want to be in a relationship. Listen to what he's saying. He
Right.
means it. So therefore, you're protecting your heart, and you won't get hurt, because in the end, he's going to tell you, "Well, I told you I wasn't ready for no relationship."
And that's where you need to start listening clearly, hear it. But what ends up happening is, just like you said, we want to we want to just see how long it's going to be, and hopefully he'll change. He's
Yeah.
going to change his mind. No, he's not going to change his mind. He's going to keep doing exactly what he said he was going to do.
Yep. And what you are allowing him to
Allowing
do.
him to do. That's it. What you're allowing him to do. And I think what we need to understand is, if that's something that you don't want, say it. So, you know what? I hear where you are, but that's not where I am.
Right.
That's, again, identifying your expectation, your needs and wants. Why do we keep hurting ourselves?
Because women don't set
We're
clear
setting
boundaries.
ourselves up to be hurt.
That's what it is. It's a boundary factor. We go over boundaries a lot in counseling, and some people don't even know what boundaries are.
No.
So you really have to break down, okay, in any type of relationship, you have to establish boundaries with your
Correct.
family, with your friends, and definitely with your partnerships. You
Mm-hmm.
have to establish a level of boundaries of what it is you will and will not do, or what you will and will not accept
Mm-hmm.
in your relationships. All of them.
Yeah. And I think when we're dating men, we feel like that we have to accept. Because if I don't accept what he's given me, then we're not going to be together.
Right.
Or he's going to go to somebody else. Why is he dating her and not me? And I think, well, let me ask you this. Let's look at this. How does self-esteem play into all this?
A lot.
Yeah,
I think
I agree.
self-esteem, the self-confidence, self-esteem,
Yeah,
because if he goes to somebody else, so bye. That's a queen. A queen says,
yes.
so bye. That was God's protection. That means that it wasn't meant to be in the first place. He didn't supposed to be in my life. God went on and removed him so she can have him.
Mm-hmm,
So that's the queen in you that
mm-hmm.
needs to come out.
And I think we need to be able to look at ourselves as being beautiful. Just like you said, I'm a prize. Walk around like you are a trophy. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying, you're better than anyone else.
Yeah.
It's just that I treasure me.
Exactly.
And if you treasure yourself enough, there's nothing wrong with setting those boundaries to be able to say, you know what, allow me to make my own decisions. If you're going to tell me that, you know what, I just want a friend, I don't want nothing more or nothing less. If you can accept that, then be the friend. Understand what your limitations are. Know what they are, and you let them know. So, okay, we can be friends. Well, maybe we can meet each other sometime. Don't expect no more, no less. And that's what ends up happening. You start expecting that. Well, why didn't he call me today? Because he
Right.
told you were a friend. You know,
Okay.
friend.
So what do you say when you first meet someone
Mm-hmm.
and he asks you, you know, what are you looking for in a relationship, Keisha? What's your response?
Oh, me something healthy. And I guess I can tell you. I think we all can say what we want, what the end result is going to be. But how are you going to get to the end result if you don't start from the beginning? I tell them I want a healthy relationship. That's with a man, a female, with my children. I want something healthy. I want
Yeah.
communication and I want consistency. What does that look like? I want us to be able to say what we like. We should be able to share dislikes and likes. He should be able to discuss his expectations. I should be able to, express mine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's where it begins. Understand who and what you're dealing with. Get to know the person. You made a profound statement. Are you stable
Yeah.
mentally, physically, financially? How does he treat how does he treat his mother? How does he treat his children?
Mm-hmm.
What are his thoughts on politics? They may not even align with yours.
Yeah.
If you are a person that's religious and you go to church, do y'all have the same background or do they
Yeah.
differ? Is he atheist? All that matters. I
Yeah.
think we skip the so-called friendship and we jump straight into a relationship. You can't do that. You have to spend some time getting to know. It's just like when we go to counseling, when we do our sessions. I don't begin the counseling. I try to find out a lot of things about you. I want to know your likes, your dislikes, your thoughts. I want to know those things. I want to know some history about you. Have you been sexually abused?
Yeah.
Have you been to the penitentiary? What type of
Right.
work do you do? These are questions that you need to ask. Do you have children? How many mothers do you have? How many mothers are there? Have you been married before? Once, twice, three, four, five, six, seven?
Yeah.
Do you need to ask those. When was your last serious relationship? And this is another thing I'm going to say. A lot of these men are not willing to commit because they are damaged.
Mm-hmm. They are.
They are damaged. And one thing I have noticed, I don't know about you, men, when they are damaged, oh, they shut all the way down. They're like, I
Mm-hmm.
can't do this again. I will not do that again. Women, we're damaged, but we're willing.
Yeah.
We're more forgiving than a man. Yeah.
That's true. Wow. I think I don't know. I guess another thing, that I wanted to emphasize on, I think, in your relationships, you should each person be
Mhm.
stable and whole within themselves.
Yes.
Whatever that looks like for you, be it financially stable, mentally stable, emotionally stable, because you can't get into a relationship with someone else and expect that person to be all that for you.
Oh,
Well, I don't need to be financially stable because he got a
oh,
lot of
you
money,
hit
so
something.
he gonna
That's
take
what I
care of
tell
me.
them.
And I'll no,
There's no
we're
one
not
that can
doing
make
that.
you happy but you.
Exactly. So then you won't get
You,
caught up in the fact that if something goes wrong in a relationship, you're codependent on this other person. You're
yes.
standing whole within yourself and they're standing whole within themselves. So when you come together, you're supposed to enhance the relationship with
Correct.
each other.
Correct. Codependency. That I see a lot of that.
Yeah.
A lot of that. That I can't do anything unless he's there. What am I going to do without him?
Right.
Your whole future, your everything is about this man. Well, okay, that's fine, but what about you? What about self-care? We got to learn, we got to know how to take care of ourselves. Whether
Yes.
that's getting in that bubble bath with some nice music and
Right.
relaxing. You got to have some me time. You have to know how to do things by yourself. And I
Exactly.
think a lot of women are afraid to be alone.
Yeah, they are. But also a lot of women are, they don't understand that when you're getting with a man, he don't want you to just be all up under him and all needy. You come off as needy and desperate. He
Mm,
really wants you to have your stuff together and you have some things that you're doing outside of him. That
yes.
actually attracts him more to you when he see that you're busy, that you have your own life, your own goals, your own creativity, your own stuff that you're doing, that you're being creative. So it's not all about him.
Hmm. And that's why it's important for any couple, before you even get together, just like you said, you guys both had your own worlds, your own lives going. You should be able to incorporate personal lives into one another. And you should be able to say, you know what? I'm going to go hang out with my girlfriends.
Yeah.
You should still be able to do that and still be able to maintain this relationship. And you said it, needy.
Yeah.
We have to stop being so needy. We have to need him. I need a man. Nobody needs anybody.
Right.
It's something that you're wanting. You need water. You need food, right?
Right.
Those are things that you need. You need a job. You know, you do not need a man and you do not need a woman. Those are things that you want.
Right. And I think it's important for you to first be happy within yourself. The
Yes.
self love is the best love. That's
Hmm.
the most important. Be happy with yourself. So then when you get into a relationship, you become happier.
Hmm.
That's the key.
Right.
Happier. Because you want to be in this relationship. It's just, it's free flowing because there's no unrealistic expectations there. There's no neediness, no being desperate, because you're good, you're happy within. So when you get with this person, it can only, elevate you. You be
Hmm.
happy. Look at case in point. Who is it? Tiffany Haddish and Common. They came out and admitted that, they were in a relationship, and she was saying how, she lost 20 pounds, and it wasn't because of him. It was just that, it's like she's happier. He says it's been like the best relationship he's been in his life, and all this stuff. It's like they come together and they enhance each other. Because guess what? Tiffany is financially stable. Common is financially stable, mentally, emotionally. They done work through some stuff and they got their stuff together. So guess what? When they got together, there's no unrealistic expectations they putting off on each other because they are already happy without each other. So by them coming together, that's why the relationship is so good and they're excited because they can do things together, enjoy each other, and have fun.
Exactly. And trust me, they communicated that with one another.
Hmm.
And just like you, I truly believe that when we get to the point, all women get to the point that you understand self-care, you love yourself, because no one can love you more than you. No one knows you better than yourself. So you got the self-care, you have the love for yourself, you understand your expectations. At the
Yes.
end of the day, you should be able to promote all that and put all that into every relationship, whether it's a man. You should be able to put it with your other sisters, as well as your children, your family. However, I said, but I think it becomes more so when we're dealing with men. I call it a fairy tale. We have this, I'm gonna be with this man, I'm gonna live happily ever after.
Right. The fantasy has already been created when we were little
Yes.
girls playing Barbie dolls. You know,
Yes.
it's already been created in the back of your head of what you want. And visualization is powerful. I'm not knocking it. You know, I
Mhm.
think it's important to visualize exactly what it is that you want.
Mhm.
But you also have to be the person, in my opinion, in order to attract the person that you want, because we are mirror images of each other. You
Mhm.
mirror each other. So be that person. If you want a man that's, financially stable, that has his stuff together, that's, honest and trustworthy, you need to be financially stable and honest and trustworthy. And everything that you're requiring of him, you need to have within yourself.
Oh, I agree, totally agree. You have to align with one another. That's why I say you got to go back and you have to take that assessment. Y'all gonna have to start talking to each other. And I
Yeah.
think that's what couples um, often don't do. They don't have the conversation. They don't have those tough conversations.
Yeah.
Hey, what led to your last breakup? What happened? You should be able to take ownership. Hey, you know what? I messed it up. I
Yeah.
wasn't ready, or I was too focused on this, and they were there. If you have this conversation, I think the other person will get to know you. I just think sometimes we just don't even know who we're with.
Yeah.
We just
Absolutely.
we're so caught up in he likes me,
Hmm.
and the fantasy that we're just gonna be together and live happily ever after, rather than getting to know the person.
But communication is important, and a lot of people are scared. I get so many clients that are scared to communicate with their partners. I'm like, if you guys have dated and took it to the next level, it shouldn't be nothing that you can't talk to each other about. You should be able to tell this person how you feel about certain things, but also allow them to be vulnerable enough to where they feel comfortable with sharing things about them with you. Now, if you don't give them a safe space to talk to you, like you're always cutting them off, or, male and female, always cutting them off, or not, listening, or, it's attitude, or whatever the case may be, nobody wants to talk to someone who's giving them that type of energy.
Mhm.
So you have to be pleasant and willing and open to be able to hear from the other person, even if you don't like what they're saying.
That goes back to you have to be able to agree to disagree. We should
Yes.
be able to do that in relationship. We should be able to agree to disagree. We should be able to respect. Just because I may not agree with you, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're right and I'm wrong. We just disagree, and we should be able to do that. And I think also what ends up happening, we're communicating, but I'm discounting what you're saying,
Yeah.
or I really don't want to hear what you're saying. You just need to hear me. We're
Yep.
dominant. You have those women, and I've seen the sisters, we're out there, we're just dominating the conversation.
Hmm.
We want you to hear me, don't say anything. It's all about me. No, I have to hear you.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
That's
That's
true. Especially, in your partnerships, you really have to be mindful of that, and be mindful of the delivery, just how it's coming across. But also, I teach couples to clarify. If somebody says something and you may take offense to it, that's your partner, ask first, because they might not mean it the way that you're taking it. So I would reflect back like, hey, did I hear you say X,
mm,
Y, and Z? you
yeah.
know well, no, I didn't say that. That's not what I meant. Oh, okay. So that saved me from feeling some type of way, blowing up or whatever, because I
Mhm.
asked for clarity.
Right. And we have to ask for clarity, even in sessions, I have my clients, hey, we're going to take a piece of paper, we're going to draw this line right down the middle. What is, tell me some, it's pros and cons. What do you like about yourself? Now we can write a whole bunch of stuff, but then what you don't like about yourself, you start trying to, you may have 3, but you got like 900 over here.
Yeah.
Okay. Now take that same piece of paper, flip it on the back, call some of your closest. What, tell me something, about me that I'm, my strengths and change it with them strengths and weaknesses. See what the response is. And I'm not saying that when you start getting people pretty much saying they're consistent and they're pretty much saying the same things,
The
then
same stuff.
why don't you try working on your weaknesses, and especially those that you've identified.
Yeah.
When you can do that, that comes back to figuring out what I need to, I need to change something about me, not him,
Mhm.
you.
Yep. Exactly.
When you do that, then that will start eliminating uh, communication that your communication style, should I say, your communication style should change. Like you saying, you should be able to clarify. You know, I'm just gonna say this. I hear all the time, well, he texted me and this is what the text message said. Or he emailed me and this is what the email said. Well, those things are black and white to me. Before you start jumping to the conclusion, just like you said, clarify that.
Hmm.
And if it was what he meant, what you gonna do?
Right. How are you going to respond? Think
Yes.
about it, process it first,
Mm-hmm.
and then respond. Don't respond out of just mere anger. Think about it, process it, and then respond.
And then not and let's not even get on the anger part. Even if you don't like his response, what are you gonna do next? You don't like the response, you didn't get the response that you wanted. So now what are you going to do? Does it make or break the relationship? And if it breaks, are you able to communicate that? Or do you just sit there hoping that it'll change?
Yep, that's true. And being passive and not saying nothing.
Mm.
That's what we go into assertive communication. Being assertive with what it is that you want, your needs, but also being considerate of the needs of the other person.
And I think we need to understand it's okay for us to, if our needs don't align.
Yeah,
I would rather to have a communication on why this is not moving forward than to
right.
keep moving forward and then it becomes so damaged to where I don't like you.
Yeah,
And I can't forgive you, and I don't want to see you. Those type of things. The same
yeah.
way you sit down. This is the way I tell my clients. The same way that you guys sit down and you have a conversation about being with one another.
Hmm.
You should be able to have a sit down conversation on why you can't move forward.
Yep, that makes
That's
sense.
being taking responsibility right there, and that's some, to me, I call it, that's some grown people stuff right there. And
Right.
be able to walk. I'm not saying you can't come back one day,
Yeah.
but obviously you guys aren't aligned right now.
But it just seems so foreign. Like how many men actually is gonna sit down and, like Dr. Jefferson like to call it, have the exit interview to
Mm.
where you know that this is not working. So let's talk about it. Usually it just kind of fizzles out. You just kind of walk away and they don't even know that y'all broken up until months later. Maybe they try to reach out and you have blocked them or you ain't respond and all this other type stuff. So nobody really has that conversation of, it's like they don't want the other person to know, I don't want to be with you anymore. I'm just secretly leaving. And if it fizzles out and we just stop calling and stop texting and stop talking, that means I don't want to be with you no more.
But I don't know what that
Right?
you may say that that's what you meant. That goes back to that communication. That's what you meant, but I'm still trying to figure out why. You know, you have some people just have to know. I need to
Yeah,
know why. And I ask my client the question, and if you don't get the why, the answer, what are you gonna do?
exactly. Because you can't make someone tell you anything. You can't make somebody talk to you. You can't make
Yes,
somebody act a certain way. You cannot make them tell you anything. So it's a lot of people still seeking that closure. I'm like, move forward. Sometimes you will never get the closure that you need.
absolutely.
That's closure enough right there. It's like, okay, for whatever reason, it
Mm-hmm.
didn't work out. I have to go back within and focus on me. Focus on bettering me. Focus on improving me.
And I think once you get to that point when you start working on yourself, you'll begin to see things a lot different. And that's where
Oh
I,
yeah.
I say go back, look at the last three relationships, what happened. Not focus on what he did, focus on what you did.
Yeah. That's important.
And now, what changes are you going to make? What are you going to do differently in the future? What is it about you that needs to sprout? And what's some of those things you may need to put some weed killer on because it's damaging?
Right.
And are you taking those damaged relationships and blaming the next person?
Yep. And I think a lot of those answers go back to operating in your queendom.
Mm-hmm.
Stepping back and being in your feminine goddess energy. So when you
Yeah,
step back and be in your feminine goddess energy, you wait for things to kind of come to you. You don't chase, you don't control, none of that stuff. That's when you really start to work on you and you have this level of self-love for yourself to where what's for you is for you.
right,
You truly believe that. You have faith to know what's for me is going to come to me.
right. And just know because if your girlfriend got it in 2 seconds and it took you 5 years, okay, don't
Right?
compare yourself to someone else because we're all specific and we're all unique. What
Yeah.
works for me may not work for you, right, Dr. April? It doesn't
Oh
work.
yeah, absolutely.
You may not like, you know. And I tell people that quit trying to compare yourself to other people. Do you do
But
what
see,
works?
the thing about that is you don't know the struggle. That's the issue. Stop comparing yourself to other people because you don't know what other people are going through or what they have went through to get to where they are. You don't know what that woman had to endure for her to now be married and happy or whatever. You don't know how many heartbreaks and maybe suicide attempts or her slitting her wrist or whatever she done all went through, and now she has her happy ending. You don't know that, but also you don't know whether it is a happy ending. Just because you see somebody, you thinking, hey, it's all perfect and it's good, and then the next 2 years they're divorced. And you like, what happened? I thought they was just the best relationship, and they did all this, and it's a total shock and an eye opener when you see that it fell apart. You don't know people's stories.
No, you don't. And I think everyone's coping skills are different.
Exactly. That's true. you know and it is because a lot of people have a lot of the same issues. It's just some people know how to deal with it a little better than others.
Right. And that's where, you have to come in, you have to start developing these coping skills so that, you know, you will be able to process things a little differently. It'll affect your decisions and all of that. And also the responses that you get back from others. You
Right.
know, everybody wants a yes, but when it's a no, oh, now it's a problem. You don't know if you're gonna live or not. You start questioning, I don't think he loves me. I don't know. That's what I get. I'm like, well, where did you get that from? Well, he told me that we need to stop seeing each other. He has a new job and I can't see him all the time that we see each other every day. Now we're down to 2 days. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Get busy and work on you,
Mm-hmm.
because obviously he's working on him. You know, he has a new job. So now his time can't revolve around you because he has some stuff going on. So now you need to get busy and get creative and find you something to do in that idle time.
Yes.
Yes.
And I think for some of us that is so difficult because we become so focused on, like I say, the end result, wedding bells, house, children living happily ever after, versus then going through the hills and the valleys.
Right.
We just want to jump from day 1 to day 50 in 5.6 seconds, and you can't do that. That's a false perception of
Hmm.
reality, you know. And that I see that a lot.
I think it's important to take some time to get to know people, because anybody can front and put their representative in front of you for 3 months, even
Hmm.
6 months. You know, after 6 months, you start to kind of see character. You know, you can start to recognize character flaws. And especially once you get to that year mark, you really start to see the character flaws, because that person can't pretend anymore. They can
Right.
pretend all day in the beginning. Oh yeah, I communicate with you and I'm very forthcoming and all this stuff. And then after 6 months, you hear crickets. It's like, well, you said when we first got together that you're willing to communicate and
Right.
that you know that you can talk and you know like to do things, and what happened? You
Mm.
know, all that went out the window. So that's why it's important to really ask a lot of questions,
Yes.
get to know people,
Hmm.
you know, and give it some time so you can really see if it lines up with what all they said and promised in the beginning.
Hmm.
If, you know, 6 months from now, even 4 months from now, that it's still going that way.
And I think you hit it on the nail when you said take time, whatever that looks like. Take your time because you're not in a race.
Right.
You know, I feel like my feelings or any person's feelings are very important. Your feelings should be everything. If you're not feeling good, we what do? We take medicine. We try to, do whatever it is we need to do to maintain healthiness. Well, same thing with emotions. They need to be healthy. Feed it. Give it medicine.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, like and subscribe, guys. Go ahead and share this video to your friends. I think me and Keisha dropped some really good nuggets here. So, you know, share it to at least that one friend that you think that needs to hear this. So until next time, thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Keisha, for joining me, and be blessed.